Hey, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing good. And I want to talk to you a little bit. Let's put this down here. Get that horrible fan out of the way for a minute. I want to talk to you guys for a little bit. And there's a lot of misconceptions going on. When my book arrived, when we talk about When Rocks Cry Out, we talk about the Hebrews who are Shem, and we talk about the Moabites that are Shem. We talk about Hamites as well, which brings about the term African. Now, when we talk about the Hebrews, they are born on African soil, or Hamitic soil, as it's labeled today. These are not people that have the Hamitic male seed. Now, bringing up Rocks Cry Out, it brings us to a point where people say, the Hebrews and the Amorites were like this, man, so you don't know history. And this is what I have to say to them. The Hebrews made their name by driving the Amorites out of the Americas. The Amorites, the Moors, they intermingled off the American soil after the Canaanites were dispersed. Some Canaanites were allowed to stay. They weren't necessarily taken down. But you're talking about Jericho, the great city Jericho, and the great city Ai. Now, the people that populated those cities, they were wiped from there. If you read Jericho, the book of Joshua, fireballs are coming from the sky. Okay, listen. Cities scorched. Sodom, Gomorrah, the 3 cities that accompanied those 2 cities. So it was 5 cities total. Jericho, Ai. I'm not even sure Jericho was scorched, but Ai was. Capital A-I is a city. Sometimes it's capital H-A-I. That city was scorched. That's an Amorite city. It says the fireballs came down and the Israelites were slaughtering the Amorites, and more Amorites died by the sword of the Israelites than by fire. So you're telling me 100 years after that, 200 years after that, 500 years after that, the Amorites made their way back into the Americas? Okay, that's fine. But once we start intermixing with them, that's a great sin. This isn't like intermixing with a Gentile. You weren't told to destroy the Gentile. You're told to destroy those breeds of Hamites. Not all Hamites. Not all Hamites. Those breeds. You were told to. And people want to say, oh, later on in history, what you don't know is we were like this. Well, that's why we're in the condition we're in. That is why we're enslaved. You're telling me after the things that happened in the Bible, later, our ancestors handed over the kingdom to the Amorites? Well, no shit, we're fucking enslaved. Now, since everybody's lied to you, let me tell you what really happened. And right now, I'm not going to use a book. I've used books over 700 videos to tell you what happened. It's called the Arab slave trade. You didn't get buddy-buddy with them. They overthrew you and ruled you. In Babylon, the Amorites are credited with starting Babylon by enslaving Hebrews. There's your fucking hand in hand. Their hand held a chain connected to your neck. Just think about the nonsense, you fucking peoples. Not everybody. But you people talking this Moor and Bay shit. They enslaved you. They looked just like you and enslaved you. Well, how could they know the difference and you not today? It's called the Arab slave trade. This is what Islam did for you. They enslaved you and then changed the name of their slavery. Now they call it Islam. What does that sound? Is there a lamb? Doesn't that sound like the mockery of the Hebrews? We put them in chains. Is there a lamb? If there be a lamb here, let him show himself. And now here you go. But the Amorites are our brothers. No, they're not. You've got that dumbass African mentality. Everybody's your goddamn brother. There's this fucking Asian at work. Thai, Lao, whatever he is. No offense to him or anything. But he always says to me, "What's up, brother?" And I go, "We don't fucking look alike. All these goddamn Asian people here that look like you are related to you. They're your brother. I'm not." Now, the problem with these Hamitic people is we actually do look alike. That is the big problem. Their history hasn't been taken from them. I could show you books where the king of Morocco in a political bed with George Washington says, "Any Moors that you have that are accidentally enslaved, please give them back to us." And he did. In fact, I made one video that highlighted one particular Moor that was enslaved and freed. Look, the Egyptians are not Hebrew. They enslaved you. The Amorites are not Hebrew. They enslaved you. Just because they got wool hair and dark skin don't mean they're your fucking friend. And don't mean that they want the best benefit from you. Moab is dark just like you. You know, the people with the raccoon eyes? They're Hebrew, but they're not Israelites. Those are Lot's children. And they look just like you, except for they come with war paint already built in. And this was their land too. Now they've been separated from a lot of their history, but not all of it. You see that woman calls it, "I'm Chief Warhorse, not everybody's an Israelite." Well, right on. I respect that, I understand. You see what she says. In other videos, she says her men were separated from her women. Her women were marched up to Oklahoma to be forced to live with other tribal men that were not of their blood, not even of their race. She knows what was done to them. And she knows she's not Israel. And this is the problem that we have. We've been blinded by the world to think everything's white and black. It's a white race and it's a black race. But we're not fucking races. We're blood groups. Pushed on two sides of a fence. What we need to do is we need to find a way around this. See, you got Amorites that think they're Hebrews. You got Hebrews that think they're Amorites. You got Moabites that think they're Hebrews. They are. Caught you with that one. You got Moabites that think they're Africans. You got Hebrews that think they're Africans. You got Africans that think they're Hebrews. The only thing that we all got in common are afros. Afros and melanated skin. That's all we got. Our history, all for the most part, goes back to slavery. Now, the only way around this is the same way all the other nations do it. The other nations that have a problem are pale-skinned Canaanites. And what they do is they form councils, and once they form a council, they register with the government as a tribe, as a body of people. Now, the only thing that we have in common is Afro-Asian or Negroid. And this is really what's what. Now listen close, because we need to choose one. See, we can't call ourselves a council of black people and then form a tribe of black people. But we can call ourselves a council of Afro-Asians, and we can form an Afro-Asianic tribe. We can, because of our classification, form a Negro tribe. These are the options that we have based after forming a council. Now, with a council, we can delegate different things to ourselves, like preparing a lawsuit. Now, on the topic of what we form under, listen very closely, because this is already half won. I mean, it's already half won. So, there's House Resolution 194. It's prepared in July of 2008. Now, it states, whereas millions of Africans and their descendants were enslaved in the United States and the 13 American colonies from 1619 through 1865. Now, that's very interesting because it says that this happened from 1619 through 1865. But there's no evidence that this even starts that early. What's being presented here is a myth. And that's the part that's the most important. We know that we are from here. We know that they came with very few Africans. Now, here's something that we need to understand. They're removing, I'm going to stop with House Resolution 194, and this is why. It's called, you type in U.S. government removing Negro from birth certificates. Now, Negro is a more important title to us than, listen, than Afro-Asian. Now we know we're Afro-Asian, and we know that's the correct title. But we need to sidestep that title for a minute, in my opinion. And this is why. From the early 1900s to the early 1980s, the birth certificate of an African American child was labeled with the term Negro. As early as the 1700s, a child with at least 1/4 Negro blood mix was labeled a mulatto. The term carried through the 1940s. Currently, there are 22 million out of 35 million, right? 35 million blacks in America. 22 million of them read, get this, Negro, right? Now why is that? Okay, so 22 million birth certificates in the United States still labeled as Negro. The term was taken out of the pits of slavery. No, this term was not. That's them telling you what they want. No. I'm gonna put this right up there. It says, Seminole dash Negro Scout Detachment. Scout Detachment. I hope you can see that clearly. Alright? Now, this is from 1870 to 1914. Now, the years aren't that important. What's important is the image. Now, if I blow that up, you'll see an Indian riding a horse. And what he'll have on is a bonnet, and it's called a war bonnet. And that is talked about in the Bible. When we deal with the Negro Seminole, tribe of Simon, Seminole. Now, people are going to give you all kinds of their version of it, which it doesn't really matter. What matters is what our idiot oppressors wrote themselves in stone. They wrote Seminole Negro. Now, based on what we call pre-Columbian history in combination, because pre-Columbian history, they found the Ten Commandments. Now we have evidence written by them in stone that there was a Seminole Negro tribe of people. Back to that Ten Commandments stone with Moses with the afro. Back to the Afro-Asian thing. You see how all this kind of works together? I hope you do. I'm kind of building up some momentum here. Alright. So, this is them sculpting. That term was taken out of the pits. No, that term was taken out of history. It was taken out of the rebellion. The war that broke out. These wars are termed under the Gullah Wars or Guerrilla Wars. This is where we get the term guerrilla warfare. It says on Monday, the Supreme Court signed an amendment to the U.S. National Center for Health Statistics laws to make it mandatory for them to change every birth certificate on record that labels an African American citizen as Negro or mulatto. Now listen, that means there's only three things that were there: African American, Negro, or mulatto. So they're going to take off Negro and mulatto. So that leaves one there: African American. This is them picking and choosing what to call us. They're picking and choosing to stick with. These niggers are just Africans. We've allowed them to do this again. Now they're changing the birth certificates to remove Negro. Eventually, they'll put up the money to take this statue down. This is all a series to eradicate your connection to the pre-Columbian existence. Now, this is easy to see from far off. This is the same things I tried to show you when I brought up Dum Diversus 1452. And the same people will just choose not to participate. They'll choose not to assemble themselves, and they'll choose not to move toward Zion. And by those choices, they will specifically choose to work against the scripture. Now, it's like this. He put me in a position to talk to you, and you thought you were going to watch and learn a bunch of secrets and not do a fucking thing. But once I tell you, you're bound. So, you shouldn't have been running around telling everybody you're a fucking Israelite and then sitting at home all goddamn day doing nothing. So, according to an analyst, however, this is putting a huge dent in the national deficit. Considering the labor, printing, postage, and servicing, this is going to run the taxpayer nearly $100 million. I'm reading this right here. Do you understand the importance of them hiding the term Negro from you now? What they're doing is they're attempting to cover their tracks. They would rather spend $100 million to change birth certificates that you really don't give a fuck than to pay you for what they did to your ancestors. Now think about all the money they give to everybody else. That has nothing to do with they don't want to give money to you. They don't want you to act as one with a lump sum of money. I don't give a fuck if you open black business. You still got to order from their warehouses. No. With a lump sum of money, you can make things happen. With a group mentality, a group then wants a place to be a group. This is why they keep that money from you. With that money, you have the ability to find the hidden pieces of your own history. Listen, if 5 people sued for reparations and won $100 million, if they took that money and put it into archaeology to find more evidence, this would bring down the whole government. This would shut the U.S. dollar down faster. Look, as soon as you sue the U.S. government, they're just going to say, okay, well, it's just going to be the UN government now. All you do as an Israelite by suing them is push prophecy into effect. So they rather pay $100 million to hide your name than to give you anything that links your black ass to pre-Columbian history. Now listen close. It says, but from the view from this African American man, Clifford Reynolds. Excuse me. This move is long overdue. It states, I was born in 1968 and my birth certificate says Negro. I'm not a damn Negro. I'm a black man. I got the right not to have that racist word put on my birth certificate. And do I care about the cost? Hell no. They owe us reparations anyway. Now listen to what that dumb motherfucker said. First he said, I'm not Negro. I'm black. After this reporter stamped him as an African. Now, my phone's black. If I get this thing to have a heartbeat, can it be part of your black culture? I have white friends if I don't, but I don't have any friends, but if I did, if they painted their face black, could they be part? Have you ever seen the movie Soul Man, where he takes the tanning pills and becomes too dark so he can get into fucking school? Right? This is ignorance. And they specifically went to someone ignorant to reach that ignorance onto you. They took the hand of ignorance and put it onto you, and you just don't know it. They owe us reparations anyway. They should spend all reparation money on this. And this is what they'll say. We took your reparation money, and now that we have German Americans, we have these type Americans, we have French Americans, now you're like the rest of us. We've made us all equal. Now you're African Americans. Reach around and pat yourself on the back after you're done serving me dinner. This is the game you're being played. While you sit there and do absolutely nothing in society. Half of you don't work. Someone feeds you. This is out of hand. I've broadcasted every day for almost 5 years to your specific ass, and you haven't moved. If it really has to take this long, then we're all fucking dead. There's something wrong with you. You let your people rot in their own condition. You let the other dark-skinned races that are here with us, captive, you let them rot. And you're happy. Because once a week you get a little bit of cheese and you can chase pussy. Once a month you get some government cheese and you get to eat up a little bit better than you did the rest of the month. You're satisfied with this shit. You're satisfied with being ruled over. All minerals have been pumped out of the ground and fucking traded all over the goddamn world. Our gold is in every other country. Our silver is in every fucking computer. You don't benefit from this at all. Not one penny. You pay twice as much for everything. 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 And they poison you, they give you the double dose that they put in products that are meant for white people. And you love it. You're happy with what's going on here. 5 years preaching to the same people and nothing's changed. I don't even hear people that are supposed to be respectable preaching what I'm telling you louder than me. You've all turned fucking wicked. And you think you're righteous. You won't even go down the street and preach to your neighbor. Same predicament as you. You won't even stop the fight of two kids and preach to them. Let them get bored if that's what the word does to them. You just let it consistently go on and on and on. You sit behind a fucking computer. Half the fucking time you're typing and arguing non-fucking sense that ain't gonna change. You winning an argument ain't gonna change nothing. Action changes. But my TV shows on, you know how many fucking TV shows I've missed preaching to you? Nothing's changed. How many of you still sitting there? Don't have your camping gear. I've been watching for months on end. Don't have your camping gear. Can't start a fire. I'm not a damn Negro. Your ancestors were Negroes when they were warring with these Caucasians that put you into what? Slavery. That's right. That's right. Slavery. Your ancestors were using the Negro title and the Seminole title when they were warring with these people. But we want to call ourselves fucking colors. We don't even want to call ourselves the correct color. I mean, the correct color is brown. I mean, the football team's Cleveland fucking Blacks, or is it Cleveland fucking Browns? We have done this to ourselves. We allow this. The minute they call you black on TV, why aren't you at that news station? Why aren't you writing that news station? Why aren't you calling that news station? You live in fucking Michigan. You're part of that community. Those pre-Columbian artifacts there are yours. You have say over them. Not the fucking guy that donated them. We're colonized. That we are subjected to their choice. You allow it. They're in your head through the box. The box you plug shit into. They're in your head through electricity. Their god Zeus holds a fucking lightning bolt. There ain't no electricity out in the desert unless it comes from heaven. I like that. There ain't no electricity out there in the desert unless it comes from heaven. Anything out there, you gotta build it yourself. But you guys are afraid to do anything. Fucking cop pulls you over. What are you doing in Utah? Well, I was watching online. Go home. Okay. I'm gonna give you guys a P.O. box, and you guys can send me $50 each, and I'm gonna send you a pair of balls. I'm gonna take some super glue, and I'm just gonna, it's right along the outside edge, right? Yeah. Your courage is only good against your own people, trampling them down. I talked to 2 different people. They said the same thing accidentally. It was real quick. The men. I talked to a man today. I talked to a woman today. They said the same thing. Long conversations, each conversation. The conversations did not cover this topic forever. The topic was brief. The men. What the fuck are the men doing? The men have done this to us. I'm gonna give you a P.O. box. Send me $50. I'm gonna send you a pair of testicles. You have to spend $2. You have to go to the store. You can buy some super glue. Snap them in place. If you do not want to send me the $50, you can stomp on the floor really hard. Stomp. If it didn't work the first time, stomp again. And then, when you hear that, that's only one of them. You guys, you've lost your mojo. You run around in these cities with mean looks on your face and everybody bows and cowers. And you're happy about that. Now you got power. Now you got street cred power because of your fucking color. And what do you do with it? There's a room full of waiting people and your angry face can make everybody move out of the way. You don't even know how to use your power. There's a man on the podium talking about nonsense. He sees your angry face. He shuts up. Everybody's watching him. He has the mic. He sees your angry face. He shuts up. You approach. You walk closer to him. He starts to back away from the microphone. All of a sudden, the microphone's yours. You have a power you don't understand. Now you're in the front of a room full of 50 people and you have a microphone. What are you gonna say? You need to think about things like that. You have an ability and you use it just to tell everybody in the city you're mad. You're angry. I have a chip on my shoulder bigger than my head. It's giving me a neck cramp. But what are you going to do with that ability? These people, they don't like sadness, anger. They always want to know what's wrong. How can I help you? Tell them, goddammit. I was here before you. Now you call me an African as if you brought me here. Let's test the bones. And you know testing the bones ain't gonna get you nowhere. Because they control the testing.